From hamburgers to meatballs and tacos to chili, Americans love our ground beef. Last year, consumers bought 4.6 billion pounds of beef, and half of it was ground. That's up 8% in the past decade. This morning, Consumer Reports is releasing the results of new research on the risks of eating ground beef. The article is called "How Safe Is Your Beef?" Urvashi Rangan is the Executive Director for Food Safety and Sustainability at Consumer Reports, and she led the test and joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Nora.
All right, what did you find about the safety of our beef?
Well, we decided to take a look at about 300 samples of ground beef across the country, and we actually divided them into two pools, a more sustainable pool and the conventionally raised pool. We looked for 5 different bacteria associated with foodborne illness and also associated with extraintestinal infections. We also looked at antibiotic resistance on those bacteria. Specifically on salmonella, we found about 1% salmonella on all of the beef. They were all on the conventional samples. Clostridium perfringens, another bacteria that's associated with foodborne illness and beef, about 20% on the samples that we found. The good news is we didn't find the toxin gene, but the high rates still suggest some reason for concern. When it came to Staphylococcus aureus, we actually saw 55% on the conventional samples, only about 27% on the sustainable samples. About 10% of the Staphylococcus we did find did have the toxin gene associated with foodborne illness. When it came to E. coli levels, we also saw some differences. Now, the good news is no O157 or the really toxic foodborne illness E. coli, but that said, we did find some virulent E. coli that can be associated with urinary tract infections. Again, big difference between the conventional and the sustainable pools. We also found that all samples had Enterococcus, another measure of fecal contamination.
So a lot of bacteria.
A lot of bacteria. And when it came to the resistance, we saw huge differences between the conventional and sustainable.
Wouldn't you expect some bacteria to be in ground beef?
Absolutely. So any raw meat product you're going to pick up, no matter what, you should expect that it's going to have some bacteria. The question here is, can we get it safer? Can it be better? We know that it causes a lot of illnesses every year, not just from eating it, but cross-contamination. And when we're creating these resistance pools in the environment on the farm, those things are living and spreading and growing.
But Urvashi, what I took from this study is just a reminder, you need to cook your beef. Yes, to 160 degrees. Use a meat thermometer. That it's when the beef is rare ground beef, then you open yourself up to the possibility of maybe getting sick.
That's right. And remember, when it's ground beef, you're taking it and grinding the bacteria from the surface of the beef into it. So unlike a steak, you're really moving all that bacteria all around the beef. So it's especially important for ground beef to cook it to 160 degrees to be absolutely safe.
Sustainable beef, though, you're finding is less susceptible to bacteria?
That's right. The sustainable beef, all of it was no antibiotics. Some of it was organic and or grass-fed. And there were significant differences in both bacterial rates as well as multi-drug resistance. That is bacteria resistant to 3 or more classes of antibiotics important in humans. The rate was 18% for conventional, 9% for the sustainable samples. And if you pulled out the grass-fed, it was 6%, even better.
And we do know a spokesman for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association said those conventional methods, he's defending them, pointing out if all cattle were grass-fed, we would have less beef and it would be less affordable. So there's a counter to this. We do have to go. Urvashi, thank you very much for laying this all out.
Thank you so much.